Yes. It is the Castworthy podcast, and we are back at you. It is Sunday, July 25th. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, joined today by the long lost VP who doesn't even remember how to pod because he forgot to put his ear pods in. So while he works on that, um, let me tell you where you can find us. Everywhere, basically. Anywhere that you get podcast content for audio, at least, you can find us. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube. As far as social media goes, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the three giants, you can find us there. Ultimately, if you are looking for us, just type in Castworthy, Castworthy. Follow and subscribe. If you subscribe on the audio uh platforms, you will get alerts when we go live. If you follow us on YouTube, like us on YouTube, comment on YouTube. You can also follow along live when we stream on Sundays. Comment, send us your thoughts and takes on stuff that we are talking about. To be a part of the show, we appreciate the feedback and the thoughts. But VP is back with us after a 3-week hiatus, give or take. Actually, I think it was 4 because we went 1 week where we didn't even record. So what's going on, man? What you been up to? Summertime, fine out there, just showing off your vaccination to the world.
Nothing much, man. Just been traveling. My son had his bowling tournament, so we went to that. Oh man, that was an experience. So
Was it?
yeah, man. You guys know I had all my concerns about traveling, being disabled, and those fears were realized on this trip.
Again?
So man,
Damn.
it started off bad. It was like one of those things where like you think like, okay, it can't get any worse, and then shit just keeps getting worse, man. We get to the airport in Orlando, and like when I check in, I have to go check in with the gate agent, let them know like I need assistance, all that kind of thing like that. And we get there, and the lady's like, "Yeah, I already called for help. It's all good." So now it's time to get on the plane. I board first, and the help never came. So it's basically the gate agent, who's a woman, this other woman, and then my son and my wife, who are trying to transfer me. And the shit's going horrible. The lady keeps getting on her walkie-talkie, like, "I need help over here. I need help. I need help. I need help." And nobody ever comes. And so they eventually get me on the aisle chair, to get me on the plane. Yeah. And we get to Indianapolis, no problem. Once we get there, they have 2 guys that are waiting for me. So that part was smooth. We get into the Indianapolis airport, which is a fucking labyrinth, by the way. Like, like we go from the gate, and then like when we land, where you land at, you're on the 3rd floor. And so we go like wherever, and you got to take this elevator to the 2nd floor, and then you got to walk like all the way across like some area, and then you go down to the 1st floor to get the baggage claim.
Right.
So then once we get our bags, we had to go get our rental car. The rental car shit is on the 1st floor too, but you can't access it from the baggage claim area. So we had to get back on the elevator, go back up to the 3rd floor, walk across the area that we couldn't go across on the 1st floor, and then take the elevator back down to the 1st floor. So, but the signage isn't that good. So it's not like we just like, oh, okay, you got to do this, do that, boom, boom, boom. It was like us like figuring it out because we couldn't really tell. So we get to the baggage claim shit, and a lady's, she on the computer, like looking up our reservation or whatever. And then she says, "Did you guys really need a minivan?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go."
Bitch, you don't see me in a fucking wheelchair.
Right. Like, you don't see this motherfucker. Aaron's at the counter. Like, you don't see this dude in the wheelchair. Like, what the fuck? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, 4 months ago when I made this reservation, and the fucking website popped up this whole menu of car options. I chose minivan. So obviously that's what I fucking wanted.
It's usually how it goes, right?
So So she's like, "Oh, we don't have any minivans right now. We can get you an SUV. I can upgrade you to an SUV, but I'll just still charge you the minivan price." So we like, well, we need to see it first to see if that will work for us because I don't know
Could
how.
be too high, all
Yeah, it
types
could
of
be
shit.
too high. So we go out to the SUV. It ended up working out. So we took the SUV. But on the way to the SUV, you got to have those little luggage carts that you put your bags on to make it easier.
Yeah.
We got one of those shits, right? And we're heading to the rental car, and my son is pushing it, and the shit just like stops. It won't move. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, did you put the brakes on? He's like, I didn't touch the brakes. So we over there looking. I go to the front of the fucking luggage cart, and the wheel, like the rubber that's on that shit, completely ripped off, and it's like entangled in the cart. So that's why I won't move anymore.
Yeah.
So my wife goes and grabs an airport worker, and she's like, "Hey, cart's fucked up. Can you get somebody to come bring us a new cart?" And dude's like, "Oh, those carts aren't owned by the airport. That's a private vendor. You'd have to contact them to like get your money back and all this kind of shit." And I'm like, man, fuck that. So we ended up having to pay another $6 to get another cart because we had too much shit to carry on our own. Right. So we ended up having to get another cart. We go to the rental car, and at that point, shit was all good. On the way back, issues again at the Orlando airport. Leave Indianapolis, it's all good. They got two guys, boom, they get me on the plane, no problem. We land in Orlando, and first it's raining. So in the Orlando airport, if there's a lightning strike within 5 miles, they take all the grounds crew off the ground. So once we can actually pull up to the gate, we get to the gate or whatever, and then I'm sitting there and I have to get off last. So I'm first on the plane, last off. So the dude's like, okay, once everybody's off, they're like, all right, we're going to go ahead and get you off. And so they get ready to start getting me off the plane. And another person comes on and say, hey, but hold up, wait, don't take him off yet. And they're like, why? They're like, his wheelchair's not here yet. Because I have a luggage tag. They put a tag, like a special tag on my wheelchair to let them know, like, don't send it to baggage claim, bring it straight to the gate. And so we're waiting. And the gate agent keeps coming down onto the plane to see what the hell's taking so long. So I don't know if you've ever got on a plane, or got off last, and you see the people who come and restock the plane, who clean the bathroom and peanuts and sodas. So that dude is over there working. He got the other door of the plane open while he's coming on and off, reloading, restocking the plane, right? Just so happens that the gate agent is standing there, and he sees through that door the baggage claim motherfucker got my wheelchair, getting ready to take it to the airport. And he goes out the door. And he's like, yo. He's like flagging the dude down and shit. These motherfuckers got on the earmuffs and shit because it's loud up there. And he's like waving his arms, and the guy finally sees him. And he's like, what's up? And he's like, you got to bring that up here or whatever, And he looks and he's like, oh, okay. So they bring my wheelchair up. Now they ready to move me. Mind you, this all that I'm explaining, this happened 30 minutes after the plane landed. I've been sitting on the plane for 30 minutes, which means the next flight is delayed now because they're waiting to get me off from the previous flight, So they come on, and it's another woman and this guy. The guy who they have is basically fucking useless. Like, they're trying to lift me, and he's like, I can't do it. But he's barely doing anything. I don't feel him doing much. So he's like, So they call for some more help, and they finally get me off the plane using my son's help again. And, so we go through the airport or whatever. By the time we get the baggage claim, our bag is literally the last bag on the fucking carousel. I'm surprised they hadn't come and take it off yet and just took it to unfound luggage. Yeah, And so we finally get our bags and leave or whatever. But the whole travel was just it was terrible.
They didn't have our room. They had hearing impaired.
And then when we got to our hotel, we booked a handicap accessible room, which was supposed to have the bars from the toilet, the shower, all that kind of shit like that. And we get there, and they're like, "Did you need a handicap accessible room? Because we got you in a they have like handicap accessible. They have different varieties. So you got ones that are for people who can't walk, people who can walk a little, people who are blind, people who are deaf. So the ones for deaf, they have like a doorbell, so that when somebody comes, you can know somebody's at the door. It has like lights that flash in the room. For people that are blind, it makes a sound, that kind of thing. So they were trying to put us in a handicap room for a person who's deaf. And my wife's at the counter like, this dude is in a fucking wheelchair. Like, we need a room that has more space, turnaround room, all this kind of shit like that. And they're like, oh, let us check, da da da. And they I guess they moved somebody, I don't know, but ended up getting the room for us. But the whole the shit was terrible. And it's not like we just showed up like, hey, you got a room? We booked this room like fucking 5 months ago. What I mean?
Yeah.
So this shit was crazy, man.
Yeah, give me the deaf room. My legs can't hear.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Terrible, the lady at the counter, it reminded me of there's this episode of Seinfeld where he tries to rent a car and he gets to the counter and the lady's like clicking and she's like, oh, it doesn't look like we have any mid-sizes available. And he's like, do you have my reservation? And she's like, yeah, we got the reservation. He was like, so how is there not a car? He was like, and then he was like, because I made a reservation. The lady's like, sir, I understand how reservations work. He was like, apparently you don't. He was like,
right. Somebody don't.
He was like, you know how to take the reservation, but you don't know how to hold it. And the hold is the key part of the reservation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, reserve that shit. Yo, it's crazy. Fucking car rental places always do that. Like I used to notice anytime I'd fly to like Connecticut or something like that, they'd be like, oh, you booked a compact car or whatever, because I'm thinking gas and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have it, so we're gonna give you the free upgrade to the SUV. Well, I didn't book the SUV because gas prices are $4 a fucking gallon, bitch.
Exactly.
Like you gonna give me the free fill up at the end?
Exactly.
Oh man, yeah. I don't understand why the airlines don't have like a Hoyer lift. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like why don't they just say, all right, well, we're gonna have somebody who's wheelchair dependent. Let's put the Hoyer lift, parachute, I guess is what it is, on their seat on the plane. And then when we transfer them there, then they sit right on it, and then we just use the lift to get them out of that bitch when it's time to get them out. Like,
right. And it's probably a space issue because like every time that we've done it, we've had people, and I don't necessarily care about people, but it has to be people who are able. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when I book my flight, they ask me, I say, hey, I'm handicapped, I need assistance. They put all that shit on my reservation. So you would think that there's like somebody in the system who's like, okay, we got this flight. It shows this motherfucker who's handicapped, who needs assistance. The flight leaves at 7:00. So let's make sure we got, John, Bob, and Steve at the gate at 6:45. And then boom, we'll move this motherfucker and then they can go back to doing whatever it is that they were doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, so when I got back, I sent, I called Southwest to make a complaint. And they do all their complaint shit like online. So I sent them this big ass email, like basically explaining everything that happened. And I'm like, you guys are gonna fucking hurt somebody. And I'm hoping it's me because I'm gonna fucking sue you then. But the shit is like ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like I get it. It's not like disabled people are your main clientele, but you guys deal with disabled people on the regular, and especially in Orlando, given how many people fly in here from the US and overseas to go to Disney. Anytime I'm at any of the theme parks, I see mad people in wheelchairs and scooters and shit like that. And I know all those people ain't local from Orlando. You know what I mean? And so I have to imagine that there are shit tons of disabled people that fly into the Orlando airport on a yearly basis. And it seems like they're just figuring the shit out as they go, and they should have a better system in place.
Yeah. I mean, you missed a point. You said you got to have people that are able, right? But you also got to have people that are willing. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker walk up and they're like, oh, fuck, big black guy. I was hoping it was going to be grandma that only weighs 70 pounds. I can fucking lift this bitch. And they're thinking, I'm not ruining my weekend. Throw my back out lifting this motherfucker. we live in America. Americans are fucking, better than everybody, and they're too good and they're entitled, right? I mean, that's why when you go on like cruises, and you're a frequent cruiser like I once was, when you go on cruises, the people that are cleaning the rooms, the people that are actually doing the work, the only ones you see that are American are the people that are like for entertainment, the people that are, that coordinate entertainment. But Americans think they're too good to clean up after motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Clean up or help. And you kidding me? I'm American.
Right.
Like, but you don't. Never mind.
or what you could do, when we went to Ohio in June, had the same bullshit happen in Orlando, and then we landed in Ohio. They didn't have airline workers; they had firefighters there. There's always EMS at the airport in case there's an accident or something like that. So maybe coordinated that way to where you have a couple of EMS dudes who are doing that. Because when I got to Ohio, man, that shit was seamless. Like, them dudes came, it was 3 guys. They came on the plane, and the dude just asked me a couple of questions like, yo, can you do your arms like this? Can you do that? I'm like, nah, I can't do that. Can't do this. Da, da, da. I told him what my condition was. He was like, oh, okay. He's like, I just want to know what I'm working with. And then boom, he got on me. And there was one guy on each leg, and the one dude who was behind me who lifted me from like under my arms or whatever. And the guys on the legs was like, all right, whatever, Chuck, whatever the dudes who was on my arms were. He like, you call it. And the guy was like, all right, 1, 2, 3, lift. Boom. I was up in the air and in the seat. I mean, the shit was like 2 seconds, Yeah. And
they do that all the time too.
Exactly. So maybe do some shit like that or whatever. Like, but my point is that you guys in the airline industry who run the airports and all this kind of shit like that, this is what you got. Why do I have to think of this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, you should have people who say, man, you know what? Maybe, we're going to deal with people who are disabled from time to time. We should have a way to get them on the plane, because this shit that they did these last trips, I've basically 4 times I've either departed and arrived at the Orlando airport, and 3 of the 4 times it was a problem. So,
it's because
they need some work.
Excuse me. It's because they're wealthy, and these motherfuckers that are wealthy, these CEOs, are too worried about fucking trying to get into space.
Right.
Like, how the fuck do I get into space? Forget about good customer service and good opportunities and experiences for people. How the fuck do I get to space just to say I did it? But yeah, but we have a guest that's joined us live directly from Baltimore. Yours and my favorite savage, fresh out of the cooter, EJ.
Yo, twin. What the fuck is the deal? Come on, like Big Pun, baby.
Yeah.
Man.
VP
Yes,
was
indeed.
just telling me about his most recent travel experience, which we
Nobody gives shit about him being a veteran and handicapped. Nobody cares. No one cares.
That's true. Plus,
you're right.
And you're black. On top of
experience.
Is he black? I don't know. Is he black? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know.
Depends on what we're talking about.
Yes, indeed.
Based on my experience with Southwest, you're right. They don't care.
Yeah. Maybe you should.
I don't know. Sometimes he could be a white woman.
Get a shirt. Oh,
wow.
Get a shirt that says "I'm a vet" and wear that every time you travel. Maybe they'll, show a little goddamn respect.
Nope,
Yeah.
nope, not at all. Not at all.
No.
What's going on, ladies?
It seems like the wheelchair ain't helping enough, Steve. So I'm gonna have to wear a shirt that says "I'm disabled." Right. Exactly.
God damn it.
Yeah, man.
God damn it.
Shit. We talking, just recapping. VP been gone for a few weeks. We missed a few weeks, so we missed 1 week in between.
Yeah, he missed a few weeks.
We hadn't seen him for a while, so I was just catching up with him, seeing how all that was going. The wonderful world of travel. I will be actually I can't speak about it. Secret society, so I don't want to ruin anybody's surprise. But I'll be doing some stuff soon here. Actually this weekend we'll be going to actually not this weekend, but this week coming. We'll be at a hotel here in Orlando, of course, right before this fucking all these new variants and shit. start to ramp up, and then next weekend I'm going out to Clearwater for a bit and get some beach time. But
Check you out, family
nice.
man.
Vax, man, Vax life. The Vax
Takes a while
life.
to get there, but it's nice.
Yeah, Clearwater is beautiful, man. But
Yeah.
but yeah, just same old shit. What you been up to, EJ? What's the week been like for you?
Man, just everything
How
is
many?
everything, man. Listen,
Just say.
I-
Just say.
you keep listen.
Listen, last time I hung out with EJ, I opened the glove compartment, and he had a pregnancy test and a Plan B in there because he didn't
You're
want.
lying. You're lying. You're a liar. You're a liar.
He tests them ahead of time. It's negative, and then he makes sure there ain't one after.
You're lying. You're
EJ
lying.
like what how it goes, Steve? If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
All right,
Yes,
that's
indeed.
him.
Listen, man, I've been out and about, and it's been crazy, man. Like drunk women are pretty funny. Like, I've been getting violated. I've been talking to them about Me Too, about how it works both ways, and they all don't care. They don't care.
Not
They
when
just
they're
touch
drunk.
on you. They
No,
just
they
touch on you. They just touch on you. They do whatever. So it's rough out here, man. To say the least. I'm gonna do a special with Barbara Walters pretty
That's a
soon.
society. That's a society movie, bro.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like
We can't report that we're sexually
I'm getting
abused or
touched.
harassed.
I'm getting abused out there by these drunk women, and I'm not happy about it. Not right now.
I'm happy about it. I'm happy for you. at least one of us is happy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Not happy. But
Yo,
yeah,
the
like,
USA lost today, man.
USA lost to what? Basketball?
USA lost to France in basketball
Oh,
today. So there's one loss there. We're gonna get to that, man. We're gonna get to that. We got some.
these niggas are horrible, yo.
We're starting to get into football time.
These niggas are horrible.
I know. Before we get into the stuff that's gonna dry the cooter, Vari, tell us about this is probably gonna help, but what's going on in anything big going on in politics that we need to be worried about, concerned with? When are they gonna waive my student loans?
Man, I the student loan thing it's crazy because I keep seeing like the usual suspects like Bernie, Elizabeth Warren,
Liz.
Chuck Schumer. They keep pushing the issue like, student loan, 50 grand. And then on the White House side, like it's crickets over there, so I don't know, to be honest with you, man. I haven't heard anything coming from the White House side of things on whether or not they're going to do this. I don't know if they're maybe trying to save the issue for
Second term.
Yeah, not even a second term, but maybe for next year, and then use it as a campaign issue for young people in 2022. Hey, we waived just, it might be one of those kind of things, but I'm not hearing anything on the White House side about student loans. Like, everything I'm hearing about it is coming from either activists or from people like, Warren, Bernie, AOC, people like that, the usual suspects, basically. So, it's just kind of watch this space on that. They're still trying to get this infrastructure thing done. Supposedly they're going to have a bill that's written in like legislative text. Supposedly that's supposed to happen tomorrow. We'll see. They've been, dragging this shit out for months now. So I doubt it at this point, but you never know. And the main thing happening, both politically as well as I guess you could say medically, is Biden and his team are out there trying to get people to continue to get vaccinated because, COVID is starting to spike again, especially with this new Delta variant. You got people who are, getting sick. The hospitalizations are up. Cases are up. Right now, you have Florida, Texas, and I believe it's Missouri or Arkansas. I can't remember the fourth state, but it's somewhere in the Midwest. Account for 40% of all new cases in the entire country. And Florida alone accounts for 20% of all new cases in the entire country. So, so much winning, yeah. So that's basically, what's kind of going on in political front, man. Oh, also one more thing. Sorry.
Hey, sidebar. If somebody calls me eat ass from the back, just ignore them.
Wow.
Right. Like that's a childhood nickname.
I don't know what they're talking about. It wasn't me.
You don't.
The other thing that's happening, or that has happened and will continue to happen for the next 6 months, is on the 15th, the IRS started sending out the child tax credit to folks. If your kid is under the age of 6, then you should have got a check in the mail for $300 for each kid. And if the kid is between the age of 6 and 17, then you got or not a check in the mail, but either check in the mail or direct deposit. But if they're between ages 6 and 17, then you got $250 for each kid. What's kind of crazy about that too is that I saw a story and they were saying how this is something that me and EJ talk about all the time. Like with Democrats just suck at messaging, and they're out there promoting this child tax credit and all this kind of thing instead of giving it like a catchy name. Like they it's the child tax credit, but it's not like regular people understand tax policy. And so, I mean, you might as well had named it, the American Child Sustainability Act of 2021, just because people don't get that kind of shit. But you've had some young people on TikTok who made a hashtag out of child tax credit, and they made like all these videos that went viral about like, oh, I got, my check, now I can do this, I can do that, this is gonna help my kids, like that kind of thing like that. So they got lucky in that aspect of giving the shit a shitty name and then people taking it and running with it and making it popular. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The eviction moratorium. I put an article in the chat earlier, but that's coming to an end soon. It's good that people started to get these checks. I got the first one, even though I didn't want it. And I stopped it so that I can get it in, around tax time. I can have it written off of tax time, whatever. But eviction moratorium, they're saying, state by state, people or different states are starting to extend. So like Illinois, for one, is extended through August 31st. But I think the Fed said what, July 31st, no?
Yeah, it's supposed to be at the end of this month. But okay. I mean, they could extend it again. Who knows? But yeah, it's supposed to be up at the end of this month.
I would say with these new variants, we might see something like that, right?
I think that they're going to end up extending it again, man. The unemployment numbers still aren't that good. Last week there was a rise in unemployment claims. That was the first increase that we've had in a couple of weeks. What was actually claimed versus what was expected. So. It's a tough situation, man. You have they keep talking about worker shortages, but really, you have workers who at probably haven't had this much power since maybe the 50s or 60s, when labor unions were really strong and people are saying, you want me to come back and work for you, you need to pay me more. And so, all while I was out in Indianapolis, I was passing by fast food joints who were like, "Oh, we're doing tuition assistance, and we pay $12 an hour," and all these kind of things, trying to get workers back. So, part of it is, there are businesses that are hurting for employees, but also employees who are saying, "I'm not coming back to work for nothing." So we'll see.
Yeah, so the child tax credit, for clarity, if you opt out, you do have the ability to claim it on your taxes next year. So that's
what's the threshold? Is there any financial threshold on that, or are they just giving it to anybody with kids?
No, it's pretty much the same thresholds as like when they send out the stimmies. The numbers are basically around the same. It's something like 90% of Americans are going to qualify for it. But I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but the numbers are similar to when they did the stimmies. Also, to like Steve's point, you can't opt out of receiving it monthly, and then basically when you file your taxes in 2022 for 2021, you'll just get the credit at that time. So basically all they did was they took the same credit or they increased the number of the credit. And normally you file for the credit at tax time. And they said, instead of waiting for you to file to get it, this one lump sum payment, we're going to give it to you monthly. But because it started mid-year, the credit is for kids under 6 years old is $3,000. And for kids who are between age 0 to 6, I'm sorry, for kids who are over 6 years old, 6 to 17 is 3,000. For under 6 is 3,600. And you get half of it basically monthly from July into December, and then you get the other half when you file your taxes
for this year, right? And then
next year, and it's only for this year. It expires at the end of this. Yeah. So when Biden passed his COVID relief bill, the American Rescue Plan, that included the stimmies, they basically put that change in the tax code to increase the credit. But because they did it through budget reconciliation through the Senate, it was only good for 1 year. Biden and the Democrats want to make it permanent, but they're going to need some help from Republicans to do so, which, you know, who knows what's going to happen there, but they want to make it permanent though.
So don't stop pulling out just yet, EJ.
What is that?
All right.
I'm all about natural evolution.
Keep it going. Oh shit. Yeah, man, they need to start kicking motherfuckers out, man. I need a bigger house. I need a bigger house. Motherfuckers don't want to go to work, man. Listen. Everywhere I go, though, to your point, man, people are hiring. Companies are hiring like crazy, like crazy. Like I drive through a drive-through, I see, you know, we're hiring. The FDOT had a one of those signs that are like for construction at the corner, a major corner here in Orlando, saying that they're hiring with the website and all that shit. Like they, you know, they're pressed for employees. People are pressed for employees. And I think, right, part of it, aside from just the COVID and all of that and all the assistance that they've gotten, as much as I joke about that, you guys don't joke because you guys are serious pieces of shit. But as much as I joke about that and people not want to go back to work because they got the assistance, I think another big piece of that is, and we've talked about it briefly in the past, is 2020 led to a lot of financial education for people. People that stayed home and were home learned a lot about investing. And, you know, people, you know, us as a culture, we saw a lot of people, you know, taking to Instagram and TikTok and helping people understand what you can and cannot do. And maybe you don't need to be working for somebody else and paying their bills, you know, for the remainder of your life. Right. So I think, you know, the financial education and the additional, just the overall familiarity with investing and crypto and stuff like that, because it was so, you know, so I lost my track of thought. But because it happened, there was so much of it in 2020. I think that's contributing to people not, you know, not that they don't want to, but they may not need to go to work for $18 an hour and risk the, you know, and not have time with their family and work-life balance and shit like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it from glass half full instead of glass half empty. You know. But
and Steve, that's a great point that you made. Like I've seen countless news stories on when I watch financial news and things that I've read about how in this country the savings rate has increased. And you have, you know, people keep saying, like, oh, the economy's getting ready to roar back because you got all this money on the sidelines. And we don't know that for sure. You know, you got people who are saving for the first time. You got people, you know, the amount of debt over from basically the end of 2019 through now has decreased like crazy. You even had credit card companies when they have their earnings calls, you know, like Discover was saying, like, if things keep stay the same, they could be really hurt because people aren't charging stuff as much. And so you could have people who, you know, where your debt situation has changed. You know, your whole financial picture has changed to where you might not need to just jump back out in the job market right away, because it's not like you got to get out there. I got this car note. I got this. I got that. You've paid off the car. You paid off the credit card. Now all you got, is your rent and your utilities, which you can handle that with, your emergency fund or whatever it is that you're using to pay bills now. And that could be also a factor as well.
Yeah, you had to turn the pandemic into a bandemic. Money in the bank.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all them young ladies that couldn't find any type of additional support during the pandemic, they found their way to EJ.
No, they didn't.
Man, you looking good over there, man. You're exfoliated. Your skin's looking good.
I'm broke,
Man,
baby.
Them lips is pink as shit. You was definitely eating ass last night. That's not it was either that or you was drinking strawberry soda. Like it's one of those two. That's the only time black people's lips turn that color.
If they call on the show and say eat ass from the back, I don't know what they're talking about.
Listen, I fully expect for somebody. I can't wait to see you. You're gonna be. Hey, does AOC have an OnlyFans yet?
Oh my God!
Oh, okay, forget it.
Listen,
we don't gotta talk.
As soon as she does, I'm subscribing, buddy.
I'm subscribing twice.
Have y'all subscribe to
screenshotting.
No,
I have.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
I have. It's interesting, man. It's pretty interesting. I like it.
So
I like the support.
I seen some free ones. And
that's how they get you.
I had someone's login.
Promos.
I had someone's login for one that was subscribed to somebody because it was someone that we went to high school with. And
yeah, I remember you said that.
I remember that.
So that's different. It's different.
How was that though? How was she?
Kind of boring. Like it was just boring. Like it was the same old stuff. Like check me out. Like there wasn't it wasn't like the only
busy.
Yeah, she wasn't getting busy on there. She was just like, check me out.
She's still trying to be respectable.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you just got to see some additional. That's all. But sometimes it's more enticing to see somebody you know.
Yeah,
versus a stranger.
Yeah,
you'd be like,
and I mean, there's an audience for that if you're trying to, keep it respectable. But you also, if you're gonna keep it respectable, you got to have better camera, better lighting, and all that kind of stuff like that. Like you can't be like in a bedroom getting light from this window across the room. You know what I
mean? Silhouette, bitch. You in a silhouette.
Listen, I know a young lady I went to college with has one, and she's busting it open.
I bet. I'm sure. Listen, man, there was people, and that's the other part, right? There was so many opportunities in 2020. Like, think about it like this, right? Let's say you graduated from a high school class of like 125, right? And maybe you don't have a lot of followers yet, but things got rough for you. And like this young lady that I went to high school with, it was something like $25 a month, which is extremely high for a local mall kiosk worker. You know what I'm saying? But it's monthly, right? $25 monthly, right? So let's say you got, let's say 50 people to subscribe, the first month, at $25 per month. You're talking about she made upwards of $1,000, right? If you're talking like that. A month now, and I could be off. I might have forgot a zero. Let me do my math. $1,250, right? If you got 50, right? So that's the first month you made $1,250 just to show some, your shoulders and a little bit of maybe some areola, etc. Right? And so then maybe people were like, she only got 20 pictures. I'm out of here. I'll come back in a few months, right? So maybe she lost, 10 people, right? She still made another $1,000 the second month. And if she gained people, there's more. So and that's at a very small, that's at a small sample size, right? I'm talking about only, 50 people. But these women they're getting, you know, thousands or hundreds of thousands or 50,000, you know, followers, and then they're getting it takes 1,000, right? If you get 1,000 people to subscribe at $10, right?
Right.
You make 10 grand a month.
You figure you go on IG or something like that, you post some suggestive shit, and you know, you get some followers, and you only need about 10% of them to join. You know,
Right.
and to your example, you know, if you're somebody who ended up getting like 100,000, you know, followers, subscribe, whatever, and you get 10% of them to subscribe to your OnlyFans, that's 10,000 people. You're
Right.
charging them, you know, $10 a month. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
Like-
And that one
like
month you
Cameron
might not need
said.
to work.
Like Cameron said, you can't get paid on the earth this big. You worthless kid, and you don't deserve to live. I'm just, you know, just dropping bars. I mean, you don't know nothing about Cameron Novari.
I see somebody's in there versus bag already. I've been listening
Yes.
to We Are the Streets to get ready.
It's a good one.
That's a problem, man. But yeah, man, it's just a lot. It's a lot of money out there. I think people made a lot of money, and you know, but ultimately, my whole point, and I've been saying this from the beginning, is it's some people out there that were extremely fortunate. Maybe they had small businesses, maybe they came into money, had bigger houses. And they might have been impacted by the pandemic, and it's unfortunate, but they need to get kicked the fuck out so I can buy a bigger house. Like, make it happen, Biden. Jesus Christ. There's a reason I got you in there. Oh, sorry. My bad.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I mean, listen, I'm just serious.
Wow.
The housing market is crazy. The used car market is crazy right now. Put you onto a little something, man, for people that may not know. And it's just a little token for somebody that might want to make a couple dollars. I lease vehicles. I lease all my cars because I don't travel too much. I don't drive a lot. It keeps the payment low, right? I have a lease right now with Volkswagen. Carvana and Vroom are doing buyouts because they sell used vehicles, right? And VP, this might, you know, be something for you too. I went and I got a quote for one of my leases for my vehicle, and the quote that they gave me is 10,000 more than my residual balance will be at the end of my lease. My lease comes to an end in December. I can sell my car, or I can pay my car off for whatever that amount is. Let's just say it's 10,000, right? The residual balance at 10,000. Carvana is offering me 20,000. I send 10 to Volkswagen and I pocket 10. So, you know, it's just, you know, there's little things like that where people may not see loopholes, right? They may think, oh, I don't own this car, so I can't sell it, right? You know, I'm paying someone else. Well, no, you rob from Peter to pay Paul. And that's, you know, so just people got to think like that, man. But, you know, for you, VP, I know you guys were considering SUV and stuff like that a few years ago, but you might be able to check in and see what the offer is on your car, and you might be able to make a nice amount. It's way more than these trade-in values because these dealers still have leverage. Carvana and Vroom don't have leverage because they only sell used cars, right? And they strive off of you know, getting those used cars and reselling them. So they offer me 28,000 for my Volkswagen. At the end of the lease, it'll be 18,000 that I would owe them if I wanted to buy it out. So we about to get that process started right now. Right now.
Yeah, car market is crazy, man. It's partly because of the chip shortage. So there's a lot of computer chip companies that are like hurting to get chips out there. And because there's so much technology in cars now, you know, they're not able to make new cars. That's partly why, you know, I know for your thing, you we're not discussing, you probably going to get a rental car. You probably saw there was like slim pickings when you went on the website, and it's partly because of the pandemic. Rental car companies, in order to stay afloat because people weren't traveling, they sold off a lot of their fleet to basically get some cash. And now that travel is picking back up, you know, the obvious thing would be, okay, let's go and just buy new cars to replace the fleet. But because car companies can't make new cars, or not that they can't, they're making them very slowly because of the chip shortage. They can't get those cars out there that fast, you know, and so then it's making people who want to buy new cars say, I need a car. There's no new cars available. Let me get a used car. And it's flooding that market too. So it's like the whole, you know, it's like this in all types of areas, man, where shit is just fucked up because of the pandemic, where, you know, they just can't get these orders filled fast enough, just because like it all ties, you know,
Xbox
chip shortage, the worker thing that we were just talking about a minute ago. It all this shit is connected, you know.
The shortage of wood. Pause.
Yeah.
No shortage here.
And not
BBC.
and not just that, but also lumber prices are like through the roof right now. So that's also partially what's making these housing, like new construction, is making the price of new construction go up because lumber costs are so high. You know, so it's you know, everything is just connected, man. It's gonna, lumber prices are through the roof, man.
Yeah, they are. It's crazy how expensive. That's partially why housing is a lot too, because the, you know, new houses are extreme, like new constructions down here at least, and you know, because we have so much space down here to continue to build. Yeah, it's expensive, man. I went and bought just 2 pieces of wood to reinforce my fence, and I wasn't paying attention to what I bought, and inadvertently I bought interior wood, right? And I got home and I'm like, this wood's not treated. I'm not gonna put this outside. So I took it back to Home Depot. 2 pieces of wood. I paid $18 for 2 pieces of wood, right? For interior. The exterior treated wood was way less, but the interior wood, that's what's the, you know, the stuff that's so expensive right now, man. Everything is expensive now. Just
you know
sell
something
what you
though?
got. Sell your ass.
You know something though? The NBA champions weren't a super team this year.
That's a true statement. That is a true statement. I think this the first year in this is the first time in 20 years or something like that we didn't see
LeBron. First time since LeBron.
Steph.
It's first time since LeBron. Just LeBron in super teams.
No, it's not the first time, because last year, remember, he was hurt.
Since the Heat.
No. I mean, LeBron. Oh yeah, that's right. Steph wasn't there.
Anything anti-LeBron in the Heat, I'm on it. Whatever.
Yeah.
It was basically LeBron in the finals every year from 2010 until not last year, because he was in the finals last year, but the year before when he got hurt, the pre-COVID year. He was in the finals every. Yeah. He was in the year they didn't make the playoffs when he I think he blew out his hamstring or something like that, or groin or whatever.
Yeah, his groin. I think it's groin.
Yeah. So, but he was in there the finals every year from 2010 until that year, and then the year before that where he got hurt, it was like 4 or 5 years in a row where it was basically him and Steph.
Shout out to the Bucks, man.
Yeah, and people are like, super team questionable, right? But people forget Chris Middleton was traded to the Bucks because nobody wanted him at one point, to be honest. And
as was Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday was last year's trash.
Remember, Philly didn't want him. New Orleans didn't want him.
Yeah.
They didn't want him. Homeboy, Brooke Lopez. Nobody want Brooke Lopez.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nobody want PJ Tucker.
Team of misfits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a misfit coach. And a misfit coach.
And a misfit coach. And he's white. Does that
and shout out to not PJ Tucker, but to the picture of PJ Tucker. That shit is like a whole mood, yo.
Oh yeah. Shit, no, he knows a whole mood. Brandon Jennings was like, yo, I played for them once. I wasn't on the team, but I'm at the parade.
Yo.
You ain't get no ring, but that's loyalty to an organization, man. You got love for an organization when you that happy they won, dog. Like, listen.
Yeah.
Does that make Giannis Thanos? Put that into perspective. We're talking super teams, right? Avengers. I'm not talking about how it ended, right? But Does that make Giannis Thanos? Thanos that we've seen, right? We'll say movie Thanos has given the Avengers the biggest or the
Challenge.
most difficulty and challenge, right? And
I
not only that,
I would say
but
no.
he kind of won. He got rid of half of them motherfuckers. Thanos, that is.
I would say no. And the only reason I say that is because, to EJ's point that he made throughout the year, is that the only thing that was going to defeat the super teams was injury. And that's exactly what happened. You know, now if Giannis went through all the motherfuckers and they was at full strength, I would be right there with you. Like, yo, this dude is.
But
you know,
to that degree, people forget, and being a former athlete, your availability is your best trait of all. So at the end of the day, because they were injured, fuck them. You know what I mean? The war of attrition, that is your biggest thing as being an athlete. Don't matter how good you are, if you're not available, you don't count. You know?
No, you're absolutely right, EJ. I'm just saying that to caveat what Steve said. But the point I was going to say right after that is the one I always say: you only can beat the teams they put on the schedule, right? You can't be like, oh, well, let's get the '96 Bulls, and then we can say Giannis is great. You know what I mean? Like, you only can play who's there. You know, and he won. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But I think that, you know, you have to still put it into perspective to say, you know, he didn't play these teams at their full strength. So to say he's the Thanos, you know, to the Avengers of the NBA, I think that's a tough sell.
I think he is in the sense that Thanos did what he did and he did it well. And Giannis, at the end of the day, you know, when it came down to it, we were looking at the Suns, man, and we were like, Suns can't be stopped. And this guy Giannis, man, he really did his job well. And for a league today where people cry about positions not being what they used to be, he's not even getting enough credit for being a true forward. Like, this guy was getting it on the block. He was doing everything that we were used to seeing. And I mean, the Thanos part, you know, I'm a Marvel person, neither here nor there. But man, Giannis, man, I love to see it. And people were saying, like, this is the most lackluster finals. We didn't want to see it. Man, that dude got busy, you know? He really got busy. Jrue Holiday got busy. I mean, they really scrapped to get that W, man. And I think the NBA really needed that. I didn't want to see the Brooklyn Nets. I don't ever want to see the Brooklyn Nets win, for the record. But I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Harden score 50, Kyrie score 40, Katie. I don't want to see that. I wanted to see a scrappy, good finals, and we got that, man. And the Bucks deserved that, man. They really did.
And to your point, EJ, I remember texting you guys in the chat when I was in Indianapolis, and I said, yo, it's 2-0. Is this finals over, or do we need to see Milwaukee play at home? And y'all were like, let's see him play at home, you know, and then we can call it from there. Yeah. And I mean, it was just, shit was like a light switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not only that, and yeah, to your point, EJ, like, nobody wanted to see that finals. Nobody wanted those guys. Like, it's a boring finals, man. But shit, they were scrappy. And it was good to see, like, if Phoenix would have went out there and swept them away, then we would have had the same thought after as we did before. That was some bullshit, garbage ass finals. NBA need to do better, right? But because they went down 2-0, and they technically, it was a sweep, right? They won 4 in a row. The Bucks, you know, and that's a great story for them because they went down 0-2. That was the third time they went 0-2 this year, right? They went 0-2 in the first round, they went 0-2 in the second round, and then they went 0-2 in the finals. And they came back from all three of them. And this one was a little more impressive because they swept it. They went 4 straight. And it was just different, man. Who do you guys think? Who you guys think was the biggest difference maker aside from obviously, you know, Giannis being the superstar?
Before I answer that real quick, I would also say, like, to the nobody wanted to see that, I thought the finals was exciting. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you had a lot of those games. you had going into it, you would think like, is this going to be Spurs versus the Pistons? That's the vibe going into
stars
it.
In the stands, like
right?
Nobody's going to Milwaukee.
But once they started playing, like it was exciting play. You know what I mean? I thought the play was very. You had Devin Booker putting up 40 points, Giannis doing work like EJ said. Is Chris Paul going to get a ring? Later in his career, all like there were a lot of storylines heading into this. To EJ's point about all these players that nobody wanted that are on this Milwaukee team.
Yep.
There were good storylines in this finals, and there was exciting basketball as well. So I thought it was a successful finals. Way better than when I watched Spurs and Pistons back in, I think it was like 05, I want to say. That shit was boring as hell. You know what I mean? So, but to your question, Steve, about like besides Giannis, man, for me, I thought that it was Jrue Holiday, man. That dude, he really put on. That guy is defensively, he's good. Offensively, he had some games where he kind of disappeared or whatever, but he was there like in those true critical moments, hitting big shots, getting big rebounds, big defensive plays. The one where Devin Booker tries to play hero ball when they were down, I think it was it tied or were they down or something like that? When Devin Booker goes for a spin move and Jrue Holiday rips it and throws the long pass to Giannis and Giannis goes and dunks it.
Game 5.
Like that shit was huge. I thought he was great in that finals, man.
His defense on Chris Paul alone. Like, and it's so funny how we're prisoners of the moment. When you look at Chris Paul's numbers over the amount of years and you compare it to other point guards, he is among one of the best, no question, statistically. But when you're talking about the moment and what he did, and why a lot of people say Isaiah Thomas is so great, because when it came down to the finals, Isaiah Thomas with a bad ankle balled his ass off, right? Chris Paul, the first 2 games throughout the series before, he's money. People are like, he's the point guard. People are like, he's top 5, dead or alive. All this craziness. Budenholzer puts Jrue Holiday on him. The whole series changes. The whole series. He neutralized him completely.
Young legs. It's the same thing you said about Steph Curry.
When Doc took his son, what's his name? Austin Rivers. When he took Austin Rivers off of Steph Curry, I said, that's what Doc screwed up. You got to have somebody to run these guys off the ball, keep them going. And Budenholzer, shout out to him. Jrue Holiday, he knew the assignment. People don't realize Jrue Holiday's like 6'5". Chris Paul's like, they list him at 6'3", but he's like 6'1".
Yeah.
So it was a difference. It's a difference.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a game. I was excited. It was a good series.
Yeah. I thought it was a very good series, man. Giannis even said in the interview. Giannis said in the interview, he said that Giannis said he could see those two in the finals again. He thinks that they both could end up going back and play each other again. And I was like,
I don't know that Chris Paul comes back to Phoenix.
Yeah,
he doesn't have repetition. He doesn't have reputation of doing that.
And they're saying he's probably going to opt out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if he did, you got LeBron and AD. And LeBron, like, I think this is the year where they get a lot of their money for contracts. That Lakers team is going to look fucking nuts, dog. That Lakers team is going to look nuts next year. And, LeBron, at this point in his career, he's older. We saw that this year. We see that, that time, Father Time is the only undefeated. Well, that and, one other thing. Mm-hmm. Right, EJ? Your lips tell the story.
Wow.
But yeah, Father Time is undefeated, man, and we saw that in LeBron this year. So I could see him not saying he needs, but I could see him wanting to add some additional pieces to that team, even though it's a good team already. The addition of, and depending on where they go, I know there's been rumors and nothing that's really been solid that says DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry would like to go there. I mean, that would be some crazy shit if they took minimum, like veterans.
minimum. Bare minimum. Jeez.
to get in
That's-
there. I don't foresee that. That'd be crazy. But either way,
Yeah.
I don't see Phoenix getting back, man, because you got to remember Denver's going to have Jamal Murray, who's going to get healthy, right? A healthy Jamal Murray makes it. Who knows if Phoenix gets there?
Dallas.
If you got a healthy Dallas, if you have a healthy Kawhi with the Clippers, right? The Clippers look good with just PG, and
Utah.
then you got Utah. So the West is, I don't know about that, and then even in the East, right? If Brooklyn was healthy. There's no listen. If KD wouldn't have worn a shoe size that was too big, we'd have a different conversation right now. You know what I'm saying? He had the whole big toe sticking over type of thing, and if he didn't have that, we might be talking about Brooklyn, or we might be talking about Phoenix, or we might be talking. You know what I mean? It's just different. So I don't know that we see them. However, do you think that? Let me answer that question. For me, it was EJ called it. It's Chris Middleton, no doubt. Drew Holiday played defense. He played great. They were a defensive team all year. So all they did was go back to what they had to do. But in the times where, and don't get me wrong, Drew, aside from the defense, he had some big offensive games too. But when you talk about fourth quarter closeout guy, Chris Middleton hit some shots in that series that were extremely big,
He definitely did.
and you can't expect that from Giannis, because if I'm whatever coach, any coach, and Monty Williams did a great job. Shout out to him. If I'm any coach and I'm scheming for Giannis in the fourth quarter late, I'm gonna be like, yo, he touched the ball, foul him.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I mean? That's what you do. And he did great in game 6 with free throw shooting, etc.
Mhm.
But I'd rather take that chance when you're talking about odds. So Chris Middleton had to be the guy that had to step up, and he hit some big shots. The closeout game, I think he only had 17 maybe, or maybe 19, he had 17 or 19. So, and Giannis went for 50. So obviously Giannis, did show the world, like, listen, this Batman Robin talk, let's slow that shit down right the fuck down. Let's cut that shit out. And then the game before, he went for 42, and he was tired as fuck. So he still, like he was like Batman. All right, this nigga's Alfred to me. But yeah, I think it was Middleton. But do you guys think that Milwaukee is attractive now to people this offseason? Like, do you see a big player maybe that's chasing a ring to be like, you know what, let me go to Milwaukee? Or do you think it's still going to be Brooklyn, LA, that these guys are attracted to? And maybe even Miami, because Miami's got young.
I don't see anybody running to Milwaukee, because I think a lot of the league, like a lot of people, didn't really believe that these guys could make it, and I don't think they're gonna likely think they're gonna make it again. Plus, while Chris Middleton and Holiday were influential and they did great, if Giannis goes down, that Bucks team is done. So, there's not a lot of free agency out there that makes sense. Now, if I'm a Kyle Lowry or DeRozan, maybe, because I played in small markets before. I know how good small markets can be to me, and they could help that game. But I don't really see a lot being added or being moved around in the East like that. It's not a lot of room for people to do what they do, because NBA is different. It's not like football. Football, you can get a big name free agent and they're going to fit right in because it's 11 on 11. In basketball, you got to get somebody who's going to be able to fit, because basketball is a ball dominant type of sport. So if you go into Milwaukee, you got to be able to fit with that system. Not a lot of people out there can do that.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with EJ too. And it's still Milwaukee. You know what I mean? And you got more attractive cities out there. LA, 2 teams in LA, 2 teams in New York. You mentioned Miami. Atlanta could be a landing spot for some folks, and it's still, middle of nowhere America, basically, you know what I mean? And I think it's hard to get these young guys. They're young, they're rich, because at the end of the day, yeah, these guys, they say they want to win championships, but I've never believed that. There are certain players like a KD, your LeBrons, your Giannis, they're trying to win championships. It's about legacy and things like that. And everybody else is trying to be paid. and they're gonna go and love whichever team pays them the most money. You know what I mean? And why not make a lot of money and not have to pay a lot of taxes? You know, in a team like Dallas in Texas with no state tax, or Miami or Orlando in Florida with no state tax, and those kind of things like that. And I think that the actual location of a team, I think it plays a factor, man.
I don't know if anybody's gonna want to go to Milwaukee. I think it, you know, on paper, real quick, it sounds attractive, right? You got Giannis, who he's only 26 years old, right? The kid is young, so Brooklyn is attractive because of the names that are there. But when you talk about, like we talk about EJ, and you always talk about the injuries that Kyrie, he just can't stay healthy, man. And it's not, and even this year, it wasn't his, like, it's never their fault that they get
That was a
injured. But
basketball related injury.
this is something that's common. You know, he came down and blew his ankle out. You know, nothing you can do
Harden
about
hamstring.
Harden, right?
Hamstring is one of the most nagging injuries you could ever had. It literally plagued me my entire college career. And again, you know, you look at a Brooklyn team, and it's the question is depth. You know, KD was out there literally by himself. And to be honest, you know, people get on Westbrook, people talk all of this stuff, but KD, for the first time, when he had to be by himself and be the Batman, he didn't show. He didn't show. He didn't get it done. Whether or not he played well, great. You didn't get it done. You didn't win. Didn't win.
Yo, Steve just made me think of something. I want to ask y'all a question. Kyrie gets injured a lot. How come he don't get the same smoke that Derrick Rose used to get?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Championships. Yeah. That's your difference maker. That's always going to be a difference maker.
Yeah,
he's a winner. Yeah. Even though it took Super Team for him to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the other thing. He don't get that smoke neither. Bron gets that smoke,
mm-hmm.
right?
Bron gets it all.
But also, you don't ever hear anybody, and now I think people have gotten to the point where they've stopped calling Kyrie the best point guard in the league because Dame Dollar started to show up and stuff like that. But if you were still calling Kyrie the best point guard in the league, you know, I think he would get some of that smoke. But the injury point, it's championships, right? Because Derrick Rose, had he stayed healthy, Chicago would have had a really good chance at, you know, potentially going deep and
nobody would have stopped him. Nobody would have stopped him. Derrick Rose was literally unguardable at one point. Literally. He's still, even now, as an old vet and what he did with this Knicks team, you know, you could just imagine if he never got hurt. That kid, that dude was unguardable at one point. Literally. You could not guard him. All he needed was another piece. You know, now Thibodeau as a coach, I don't know. As a Knicks fan, I still don't like him. I think he has a ceiling. I think offensively, he just has no clue of anything. But, you know, again, Derrick Rose was phenomenal, man. Like, I don't think kids today will really understand how good he really was.
Yeah.
That was nasty.
D-Rose was something different. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if you know, if you're talking about Milwaukee, and I'd have to take a look and see who's available. But if there's a piece that you would need for them to try and repeat,
what would it be?
What position are you thinking, or who specifically do you think it would be? Actually, I'm going to pull up while you guys think about that, I'm going to pull up the free agent list.
Yeah, I don't know that they need a front runner, you know, versus getting depth maybe to their bench. But I mean, when you look at that team, and I got on Chris Middleton a lot because that's Steve's guy, but at the end he did play very well. You know, you got a 2 in him. You got Jrue Holiday that offensively could be better than he is, but he's a great two-way. He's a great two-way player. And then you got Giannis, who just, when you're talking about a forward and doing what a forward is supposed to do, that guy was cleaning up buckets. He was getting it back, man. That was solid NBA basketball that we have not seen in a long time. I think the team the way it is, man, unless they want to get younger and more athletic at center, maybe, but you could draft a kid and do that. Draft a young kid.
Is there room? Is there room for my guy? Not my guy. Let me take that back. Is there room for the guy DeMar DeRozan on that team?
No.
He's unrestricted this year. He would step into the two hole. So your starting five would be Drew, DeMar, Middleton, Giannis, and then maybe you're talking about Homeboy, or maybe they go out and get Jared Allen, who's a free agent this year, and really build that team up something different, like, or Rashawn Holmes from Sacramento. Shit, Kelly Olynyk is a free agent. Like, but overall, like, do you think there would be a difference there if DeMar DeRozan was to go over there? You think that would be a better or worse move?
I don't think he fits. I think if I'm him, DeMar DeRozan needs to go somewhere like a New York, where you're gonna get a big payout and basically control your team. You know, Middleton and him, they do very similar things. I don't see it working out.
Okay. Let me tell you guys who's free. And then you guys let me know. VP, I want you to tell me who you think might be the best person to go there out of these guys. I'm just gonna go to the top 10 real quick. You got Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Mike Conley, John Collins from Atlanta, Lonzo Ball, Jared Allen. Damn it. My browser started to freeze. Duncan Robinson from Miami and Norman Powell.
I would say Duncan Robinson.
I was just about to say that. Yeah. Duncan Robinson would be a good fit.
Yep. Come off the bench. He would be a guy that,
he would be a guy that comes off the bench. He can shoot well, but even though he can shoot well, he doesn't demand the ball a lot. So you can still do the things that you do, have Giannis kind of collapse the defense, kick it out for an open three to him, that kind of thing like that. But the rest of those guys, I'm not sure they really make sense.
Jared Allen might be the only other one, being that he's 6'11". He might be another big body, but you're talking about a first round guy. I don't know if he commands a starting position. He's 23 years old, young, averages 25 minutes, 10 points. That might be a solid piece for them too, just to have on the front court. But again, Bobby Portis, they got him. I think Duncan Robinson is the only one that makes sense. Like VP said, game wise, Giannis is going to collapse things. You want to be able to kick it out to somebody who will shoot.
If I told you over the last 2 years that Damian Lillard and Buddy Hield were the only two players in the league that have made more 3-pointers than Duncan Robinson,
would I believe you?
Would you believe that?
Yeah.
You said over the last 3 years?
Last two seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
I wouldn't. There's no way I saw that coming, but it's true.
Well, it's clearly because Miami doesn't use the guy right, so
they don't use nobody right.
I don't think it's that Miami doesn't use him right. It's like I've said to you guys in the past. Duncan Robinson, like we talk about Ben Simmons, right? Offense. Duncan Robinson needs to work on defense in the offseason because his defense is trash. He keeps himself in foul trouble, and then he can't stay on the floor. And so, that's to me, that's his biggest issue as a basketball player, especially for the type of guy that he is, who you bring him out there to be a 3-point specialist. You got to be in rhythm as that type of player. You know what I mean? And if you're always on the bench,
cold, and he comes out
right,
laying bricks. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has to work on defense to get himself out of trouble.
You said that. You said that before. For sure.
All right. Well, obviously, I think the draft is
next week. I think
it's next week.
It's very soon. Very soon.
Training camp starts.
Yeah,
Cowboys in camp.
Yeah, we're gonna move right over to that.
Mike McCarthy looked like he lost weight.
Yeah. And real quick, Steve, if I can shout out Giannis one more time, man, we talked about this a little bit in the chat, me and EJ. This is a dude who came from nothing over in Greece. Mom didn't have bread like that. Him and his brother used to sell DVDs on the corner to the
Literally,
young people.
she ain't have bread.
Right.
Like they was hungry.
to the young folks, a DVD is a disc that contains a movie on it.
And yo, you hear him talk. Like when you hear him talk, he's a hood kid. Like he's like, yo, where my cigar? Where my cigar?
Yeah.
Like this shit was so funny to me. Like I'm looking at Peanut, like it's big ass Peanut.
Yeah.
Big ass Peanut that won the championship. He gotta relax.
And then him and his brother played on the same team when they started playing basketball. They used to have to share a pair of shoes because they couldn't afford basketball shoes, both of them. So when Giannis was in, he had the shoes. He would come out, take off the shoes, give them to the brother. Then the brother would come in the game. You know what I mean? To go from, I mean, talk about humble beginnings. You know what I mean? To being an NBA championship, man. Shout out to that dude, man. And
isn't there
he's
three of them?
He's a likable guy, man. Yes, three of them. One plays for the Lakers,
one of
Giannis,
them won one last year.
Yeah, all three of them got a ring.
Yeah.
I saw people were memeing that shit, and they were like the whole Atherton Kimpo family got NBA championships before the Lions.
Foul.
I like Giannis, man.
Foul.
I like Giannis a lot.
I do too. He's like, you know how sometimes you go into the finals, like how me and EJ both are like, I don't want the Nets to win. You know, I feel like there's always a championship like that where you're rooting against somebody. But I like Chris Paul, and if he had won, I'd be happy. I like Giannis. He won. I'm happy. You know what I mean? Like he's a really nice guy, man.
I've always been a fan of Chris Paul since high school. You know, I was watching him and Sebastian Telfair and those guys. I remember when he scored 60-something points. I've always wanted Chris Paul to win, but I found myself liking Giannis more. Found myself just liking Giannis more, and his determination, man. Like that dude literally put that team on his back, and we gotta look at his playoff performances. Like we can talk about everybody else. This dude consistently, I don't think he scored less than 25 points throughout the whole series.
Yeah,
he didn't score less than 25.
You know, the other thing for me about Giannis that I really like about this guy is, and maybe he's just timely with it, or he times it correctly, doesn't do it in front of cameras, but you never see this guy complaining to the ref. You don't see this guy complaining to the ref. You don't see him not getting back on defense because he just missed a call or anything like that. Like this guy, you know, and even in his interviews, he says the same shit. Hey, we had a bad game. We got to get right back to it. Our team understands they can do it, and you see people say that, right? But you tend to see people say that after they win the next game, right? A lot of guys, and I don't want to take a shot at, but, LeBron, as great as he is, after a loss or something like that, you don't get the same energy from him. You know that you're going to get that energy on the next game from him. You know you're going to get that in the game. But in the, from a leader standpoint, like if I'm a guy, if I'm the fifth or sixth option on the team and I'm watching the post games and I see how LeBron's body language is to those questions, where it's just anger, frustration, maybe he just doesn't know how to voice it and doesn't know how to take it to that level to be positive, or I see Giannis, that's going to be what motivates me personally a little more, right? I'm not saying he's a better player than LeBron, not saying he's greater than him, anything like that, right? But in that sense, for Giannis, this is a big up to him, just how he handles that. And being 26 years old, being a kid and coming in and taking over that franchise, man, he's done a great job, man. So shout out to him, man. He deserves everything that he got.
Yeah, definitely. You look at Giannis and he's just like, oh, what happened? We got to play better. We're going to be all right. We come back and they go down 0-2 and they're just like, yo, that's why we were like, yo, don't count these boys out, and they went to win 3 straight, 4 straight. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
The greatest team in the NFL has started training camp. They were the first team in camp. And
you mean the richest team, not the greatest?
I mean,
but The richest team. Yeah.
Listen, tomato.
Mhm.
Dak. Well, training camp has started. Teams have started to report. Cowboys was one of the first ones because they're going to be in the
Hall of Fame game.
game. Pittsburgh was right behind them. Dak Prescott looked pretty good from the video that we've seen. Throwing dimes. Zeke came in. He's in great shape. They said CD is showing light, stuff like that. How do you guys feel about just in general, just training camp this year and these teams that, you got players like what's his name from Arizona talking about I don't know. DeAndre talking about the vaccination and stuff like that. Like, and hearing even about the Cowboys, right? 50% of their team isn't vaccinated. More than 50% of the team isn't vaccinated. Like, you think these people are you think they're just being irresponsible, or like what's going on?
Let me say this real quickly. People in that tax bracket and, rich people, stuff like that, they get to hearing things. They get to get educated from different places, different plays and ways and different people. And they feel like, look, I don't want to buy into that kind of stuff. I got this rich friend over here who's a Republican telling me this, telling me that, and they go by that advice. I think the biggest thing is, right, the NFL saying, not like last year or not like any other thing, if your team fails to comply and test positive, you may have to forfeit. I think that's the biggest thing going forward. I said they should have did that last year versus moving things around. And I think all things considered, them moving games around and everything, they did a hell of a job. And the NFL is basically saying it's going to cost too much to do that this year. So if you're on a team and you're choosing not to get vaccinated and then you're positive and you hurt the team's ability to win or play, I think that's going to trump everything. It's going to change the game. It's going to change the game.
So I think what was different last year, EJ, is that there wasn't a vaccine, right? Because remember, the vaccine didn't come online until late December for that matter. Mm-hmm. And it was only available to people who were senior citizens, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think now the NFL is saying, we're not moving games because you don't have to get COVID, right? If you get sick, I don't want to necessarily say it's because you chose to, but it's damn near because you chose to, because this is something that's preventable, right? And so not only are we not moving games around, you're going to be forfeiting games, but also they also announced that you're not getting paid. And while DeAndre Hopkins makes $15-20 million a year, and Kyler makes a shit ton of money, and some of these other guys, there's some dude playing linebacker who is making $800,000 for the year. And he's like, I need my check. You know what I'm saying? I can't miss a game check like DeAndre can, or like, some of these other bigger name folks. And, so we'll see what happens, man. But I think some of these players, along with just the general public, me and Steve talked a little bit about this in pre-production before you came on, EJ. Mm-hmm. I think people are being very irresponsible, with this vaccine. And it's like I told Steve, you have people who are saying they have all these questions about the vaccine, whether it's safe or the how the speed of its availability and that kind of thing like that. Mm-hmm. They have all these questions, but aren't seeking any answers. But you know what I mean? And that's a big problem.
But I think the thing is, too, at the end of the day, it's not just the vaccine, because you can still you can still get COVID by having the vaccine, right? Yeah. That's a fact. I think the other thing that the NFL is clearly saying, though, is your team is responsible for making sure that if something happens, you do the right thing. Where last year, it was like, oh, how this motherfucker playing? And dude had COVID on the line, but you know what I mean? So I think they're gonna be a lot more particular into, okay, you got Ben Roethlisberger might be vaccinated, but he got COVID somehow, some way. Fine, right? What are you doing now to ensure that he doesn't give it to Chase Claypool, to this person, to that person? And then if your team starts to come up positive, we just gonna dock your ass. And I think they're kind of saying in a roundabout way, we're not putting you in a bubble, but manage your team. And if you got a motherfucker at Magic City before the game, hey, and somebody get COVID, you donezo. You donezo.
You're right too, but I think it kind of goes without saying that it depends on who, right? Because look at what we just saw in the NBA, where Giannis's brother is put into the COVID protocol. They live together. The brother goes into the COVID protocol. Giannis is fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I bet if you know, Chris Middleton, you had contact with, he was in the COVID protocol and had contact with PJ Tucker ass wouldn't have played. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's going to be the same shit in the NFL. It's going to be dependent upon who.
Yeah, but I think even with the NFL, it's even more scrutinized because the NBA, while the NBA had the bubble, people love the NBA for what they were doing, and the NFL is just always going to be the evil stepdad that we can't get rid of. And I just think optically they want to do better. They want to look better. They really don't give a shit, but they want to look better.
Okay. You guys excited for training camp and everything for your teams?
Dolphins.
Yeah. I'm excited, man. I think, you know,
is Tua their starting quarterback?
Yeah, Tua's starting. I think what's going to be different about this year with Tua is that there's no break glass in case of emergency type of thing with him because there's no Fitzpatrick no more. You know what I mean? When he was fucking up, you see Flores pull him. Now it's all on him, and we, you know, I don't think that this is necessary. I was gonna say I don't think this is a shit or get off the pot year, but I think it is.
I hate to tell you this. Tua's not good. He wasn't good at Alabama. As an SEC fan, you know I'm a Florida Gators fan, right? But I enjoy and I make it my business to watch all of the other SEC teams. Tua was never good, in my opinion. Never was. Even in the play that he got hurt in college, he was making one of the worst football throws you can ever make. Running to his left, throwing across his body, completely terrible. Tua is not a good quarterback. And I think y'all defense and the talent around y'all and around him has made it look less than what it is. But now that, like you said, now there's nobody behind him, I think it's going to be even more amplified as to how bad he is. Hate to say it.
And you know, time will tell. But I think, you know, to the point earlier about it being a make or break year for him, you know, the situation in Arizona with Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray, that showed teams that, hey, I don't got to put 5 years into this rookie. You know, if it ain't working out, I can go back in the draft and get a guy if he's available. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And with the capital, the draft capital that Miami has, you know, if they have a shitty year, they will already be there. And even if they have a decent year, they have the capital to move up to go get a guy if they think they found him, you know. And so I think that this is going to be a make or break year for Tua. They're not going out there. They haven't said, okay, you only get Devontae Parker, who in my opinion is not a real true number one receiver. They went out and got the kid from Alabama, somebody Tua's familiar with, who's a good receiver. You know, they've made improvements on defense. You know, they went and got a running back, and I don't think it's going to be the greatest running back in the world, but you know, you never know. Sometimes these kids break out out of nowhere, you know, like a old boy in San Diego. So you just never know. But I think the team is basically gave him all the options to be a good quarterback, and if he can't do it, they may have to go and find a replacement for him.
Oh, yeah, they will have to. Because, you know, Tua to me was never a good quarterback at Alabama. The biggest thing that he got credit for was coming in for Hurts, who Hurts was a regular season quarterback. It just seemed like when it came to the big games, he choked. And Tua came in with the moment. They didn't have any film on him. They didn't know what he did. Now, he comes from a good pedigree. He was a winner in high school. But when you look at his body of work and his throwing ability, and he really hasn't had a full season of playing good football since Alabama. So you going in there with a guy who hasn't given you a solid 12 plus games of playing good football. Not to be a Dolphins hater. I don't think he's going to do it.
No, I mean, I hear you. I mean, you know, we'll see, but you know, I'm as a, you know, to answer Steve's overall question about are we excited? I mean, as a Dolphins fan, you know, I feel like we go in every year thinking this is the year. It seems like we've made the right moves in the offseason, and then, you know, we go 8-8 or fucking, you know, 6-10. So again, I'm going into it thinking we've made the right moves. I feel like we got the right coach. We got good players. This could be the year, but you know, we'll see what happens.
I'm excited for football because I love the game. You know, it's my first love, man. So I'm excited.
You guys got a young quarterback over there.
Oh yeah, Zach Wilson. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm really scared because while he might be talented, the mental is what I'm worried about. You know, the game in NFL is faster. Everything is just different. But on the flip side, you know, he's young, white, rich already before the NFL. He might not have any memory problems. You know, he might play with a full deck to say, you know, my last play was my worst play. I'm gonna move forward, and we might need that. And I think, you know, the coach we have now and that chemistry and our defense, man. CJ Mosley's coming back. Hopefully, he stays healthy. He was a difference maker game one. We were up in Buffalo by 13. He gets hurt and we lose. You know what I mean? So we're gonna see, man. It's gonna be interesting. I'm excited. I want to see my man Dakota Prescott.
I tell you what about Zach Wilson. If he can find himself not with a case of mono, you're already doing better. Shit.
Sam Darnold in Carolina now. That's our first game. Oh man.
Motherfuckers getting mono in 2020. Like, what the fuck? Like
Sam Darnold, man. Sam Darnold.
Hard Knock starts August 10th. I'm excited for that. Cowboys are going to be there, so I'm interested to see how that goes. You know, I'm not a huge fan of McCarthy. Never was. Didn't think he was the hire for us, but I'm interested to see. You know, there was some people that came out at the end of last year and said that, you know, some of the stuff where they were saying he didn't have the locker room was not accurate. Actual players, some players that came out and said that. So we'll see. I'm interested to see how they look there, and you know, I'm just happy for football, man. I look forward to football. I look forward to opening night. The Cowboys here in Tampa against the Bucks. I'll be at that game because I got my tickets. Unless them tickets skyrocket even more, because they about $1,200 a ticket right now.
Yeah, shit, man.
They break that 2,000 mark, man. Listen,
you gonna sell them things?
Yeah,
might as well. Shit.
Listen, I can for 2,000. I can fly to Dallas and go see the stadium.
Yo, what do y'all think? How's this this situation in Green Bay resolve itself? And also shout out to my man, NBA champion Aaron Rodgers.
They need to just let him go.
Yeah,
I mean, why? We always say this. We always say this. Rich people are not smart people most of the time. They're not. They've gotten rich somehow. They had money inheritance. They got lucky. A lot of them are not smart as we think, right? If I'm Green Bay, you drafted Jordan Love first round, right? You're gonna suck. Even with Aaron Rodgers in these past 4 to 5 years, you've knocked on the door, you haven't won. Fine. He's 30-something years old. He's not happy with you motherfuckers. You can get whatever you want right now. Literally, if you ship him off.
Mhm.
And you just took a guy first round. He's had a year under this belt. The Band-Aid's going to come off sooner or later. You're
Yeah.
going to keep Aaron Rodgers now and then let him wither away and do whatever and then leave anyway when you could trade him anywhere in the league and get whatever you want now. It's
Denver's sitting right
asinine.
there.
It's asinine.
Denver's sitting right
Denver,
there.
Denver will give you whatever you want. We talking about picks for probably the next 5 years.
Mhm.
It's asinine to sit there just because he's our guy. He's under contract. Get rid of him. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Just
think
trade him.
I think they're scared to lose the rest of the locker room. I think they're scared to lose. I mean, you got what's his face had been coming out, the wide receiver. Devontae, who's been coming out. Oh, this is my guy. Now I'm not happy. Allegedly, they've stopped long-term conversations with his team because, all of this is going on. The last thing they need, is, unless they get into rebuild mode, right? And you got to remember, Green Bay too is a fan team, right? They're the team that's fan owned, right? So you don't want to do stuff that's going to make the fans upset as an organization. In that sense,
Mhm.
I'm with you. I say get rid of them because you're going to bring a lot back. You might, hit rock bottom for a year, maybe 2, but with the picks, you're going to be in, you'll be working with Miami to try and rebuild, to get into that rebuild and be that next team. Because quite honestly, quite frankly, there's some powerhouses out there. Tampa Bay is strong. Even with an old ass Tom Brady, that's a strong ass team, man. And to win right now, you need your team to be clicking on all cylinders. We saw what they did to Green Bay. You know what I mean? We saw what happened there. So I don't know, man. I don't think Aaron Rodgers plays for them this year. And I don't know that he plays at all because they might be that stubborn to where they try to hold on to him and he just holds out, or he does the, I'm retired thing, I don't know.
I'm thinking that the reason that they're holding on is that they're looking at that division and they're saying that division this year should be pretty easy.
Mhm.
That's going to get us in the playoffs. And then we got Aaron Rodgers. So who knows what that could do as far as moving forward to a championship, right? Even though I don't think it's going to happen. But I think that's the calculus that they're making. But to Steve's point, if you're going to have to rebuild at some point because you brought in the new kid to replace Rodgers, right?
Mhm.
Why not go ahead and get rid of Rodgers for a king's ransom
Mhm.
and you get ready to reload because that division is reloading currently, right?
The
You already
division's
got
always reloading.
Yeah, you already got Chicago went and got a quarterback. You just had the trade situation with Stafford and the Rams. So who knows, what happens there or whatever. So the division is already so that division is already being shaken up. So why not just shake now as well? And in that way, you don't allow them to retool, and then you got to retool and can't do shit.
And the other thing is they've been here before with Brett Favre, right?
Mm-hmm.
While they are a franchise where their team loves their players, their franchise and their fans get over it, right? They did the same shit with Favre, and they let him get old. Then he went to the Jets. Then he went elsewhere. Listen, while Aaron Rodgers, he's 30 plus years old. In football age, he's getting there. You could get so much for him right now. It makes zero sense to keep fighting this battle. What's happening is you got ownership, money, and power involved. And they're like, no, we're not going to let the player win. We're not going to let Aaron Rodgers be LeBron. That's what it's all about.
Mhm.
Football is the last holdout, and maybe even in hockey, last holdouts where they don't want the player to have all the leverage. In baseball, you rarely see it because a lot of these guys, they don't sign long-term contracts in baseball. So then you get a Giancarlo that will get out of his deal and then get a 10-year deal somewhere else because I'm chilling and I got all this money. I'm good. Football is one of the last places where the ownership does not want you They don't want the inmates running the asylum. That's
Mhm.
what it is. That's all it is. Because nothing logistically makes sense for Green Bay to keep this guy. Nothing. He
Yeah.
could sit this whole shit out. He could write off this whole season, go host Jeopardy, and then do whatever he wants. And then what have they got? Nothing.
Yeah.
You still
And
might have to play Jordan Love either way. You might as well ship him off. Devontae Adams ain't happy. Fine, we'll get a receiver. We'll pay. We'll get a draft. We'll do whatever. I mean, you're in rebuild mode now. Chicago's gonna be Chicago. Detroit's gonna suck, and Minnesota, they may be competitive, but like you said, the NFC North, it ain't the best division in football. So, what are you really holding them for?
yeah. And then to EJ's point, man, I mean, it's a cliche, but it's a true one. Winning cures everything, right? Because everybody, oh, Antonio Brown, this motherfucker's crazy. He's bad in locker room. They won. You nobody saying shit.
Right.
It's a good thing. Man, Brady was right to bring him in. That guy changed the team. Da da da. So
Bruce Arians didn't even want that motherfucker.
Exactly.
Bruce Arians didn't even want him. He's like, no way, no how. Tom was like, what? Who the fuck you talking to?
Yeah. Get rid of them, bring somebody else in, and then once you guys start winning, people are like, Aaron, who? I'm glad that motherfucker gone, man. Look at all these picks we got. Look at this dude we picked up, from Alabama or from Texas or whatever, So
not to mention they need defense. Not to mention they need defense. That's one of the worst things they've had. Yeah,
exactly.
Come on now.
Aaron Rodgers came through there. So
come on now.
What you guys been watching?
For me, man, I've been gone for a while, so I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but I watched Black Widow. I saw it while we were out in Indianapolis. Went to the theater. I also saw the new Space Jam. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's about it, man. For Black Widow, it wasn't that good to me. The movie didn't really seem to fit, especially because like you basically you're shoehorning in this movie. You're shoehorning in this movie for a character that's already dead to begin with. Oh. The events of the movie take place in between two other movies that are already wrapped up. So I don't know. I didn't think it was that good. And the thing I didn't like about it the most was, we've talked previously about how you got the Avengers who are all superheroes, and you got Hawkeye and fucking Natasha, Black Widow, who are basically humans. And there's like 13 times in this movie where she should have fucking died. And like nothing happens. Like she's in a car that gets hit with a rocket launcher. She don't even got a limp, She's in another car that gets flipped over multiple times and then goes down a fucking subway tunnel. Nothing. You know what I mean? Like she fell off a building and hit like fucking 7 AC ducts on the way to the floor. Yeah. Nothing. Like, come on, dog. Like let's be serious here.
There's a theory out there now that she has some superhuman abilities, but I mean the same things that you're gonna love about Marvel, you're gonna hate about them when you really think about it. I liked the movie. It was definitely better than Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is the worst Marvel Cinematic Universe movie ever to be made. And it set up the stage for Hawkeye. The series is coming. I watched Loki. I wasn't that impressed. Marvel fans get more excited about what can happen versus what has happened. So people watch Loki and they got excited for the things that could come. It was decent. It was better than WandaVision for me, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier is still the best. Netflix right now, I've been watching the Fear Street series. I don't know if you guys watched that.
I saw the previews for that. I haven't watched it yet.
All 3 movies came out. The first one starts off in 1994, and then it goes to 1978, and then it goes to 1666. I recommend you watch it. It's a pretty good series, very well done. I loved it. So that was one thing I definitely recommend you
Correct
guys
me if
watch.
I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong though. Isn't 1666 before 1991.
Yeah, so it goes it starts off in 94. And
94,
it starts off in 94, and then it takes you back to 78, and then it takes you back to, so it's all about this witch who's cursed this town hundreds of years ago, and shit's still happening in 94, but it goes in an order to where it starts you off in 94, and then it takes you what happened back to back each time. It's pretty good.
Gotcha.
It's very well done. It's very well
Yeah.
done. I mean, we talk about movies and just how things are done and play out. That movie was done very well. Very, very well. It was very good.
Yeah. And then for Space Jam, man, I didn't I think it was okay for what it was. So like, you know, in the first one is aliens, and this one they did like a digital thing, you know, since everybody uses their phones and the internet and stuff like that. But that shit was basically, I don't even think most people caught this. The shit was basically a big ass commercial for Warner Brothers. You know, it's like, how can we shoehorn every Warner Brothers product into 1 2-hour movie? That's basically what it seemed like to me, you know. And it's a kids movie, right? But you're talking about The Matrix. When The Matrix came out, 1999. You know what I mean? They reference Austin Powers, another 90s joint. You know, it's like you're making a kids movie with references that only their parents get. Like, that shit didn't make any sense to me at all.
That's usually how cartoons are, though. They try to engage both demographics. Kids aren't going to be looking for reference, right? When you're talking about a cartoon, they're not looking for reference. They're looking at, oh, look at the fat pig rapping. They don't know who Biggie is. These kids don't, you know what I mean? They just see a pig rapping. Notorious P.I.G. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It wasn't overall. I didn't think it was that good of a movie. And LeBron is terrible at acting. Oh my God. Like, I saw him in that movie that he did with Bill Hader a couple years ago. And he only had a few cameo appearances, and it was bad, but it was like, okay, you know, he's only on screen like 3 times. So, you know, whatever. He has like a total of 10 lines in the whole movie. But now in this joint, it was bad.
They asked him to do way too much.
Yeah.
They asked him to do way too much. I fell asleep the first 5 minutes, like after that whole scene where it was like ball. He was like, "What? You're not practicing?" I was like, "Nah, I'm going to sleep. I can't do it."
I mean, shit. I mean, that was like the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
You know, I've learned through this. I've learned through our little segment here, a little bingeable segment, that Vari hates when there's puns, and he really looks for what they're forcing into a movie.
He don't like cheese at all.
That's his big thing. I liked Space Jam. I liked it.
The first one?
I like I like this one, man. I actually like what they did with forcing all the characters and forcing all of the previous movies into it. I actually like that. LeBron is a terrible actor as a human, but I thought once he got into cartoon mode where you couldn't see him in his body language, I thought he did pretty decent at that point. You know, I thought he had pretty good inflection when talking to Bugs and the cartoons and stuff. Wasn't good, not by any means, you know, but better than when he was on scene and, you know, he's like, "Oh, you don't think your dad is cool? Ha!" Like, you sound like, what is wrong with you, dog? Like, don't ever say that again. You know. But other than that, I thought, you know, there was some parts that were pretty dumb. Don Cheadle did a good job. I thought Don Cheadle did a good job. I like them forcing stuff in. I thought the Michael B. Jordan thing was kind of whack. You know,
I thought I was the only one who thought that was whack.
I missed it. I was asleep.
Yeah, like there's a part where they're trying to go recruit players because in the movie, like the villain, which is Don Cheadle, he's like an algorithm, right?
Right.
And so okay, so he's basically spread out all these Warner Brothers properties through the what they call the serververse, right, and so all the like Bugs Bunny's on one planet, Daffy Duck somewhere else, Porky Pig somewhere else, all spread out, right? So they're going around recruiting the players, and LeBron makes
nothing fast.
so Bugs Bunny is like, I found this player, and Bron is like, who? And he's like, Michael Jordan. And Bron's like, you got Michael Jordan? And he's like, yeah. And then so you see him walking down the tunnel, and you start hearing the Chicago music, and he starts coming in, and he's like, oh shit. And then there's Michael B. Jordan. And then LeBron's like, that's not Michael Jordan. That's it, shit was whack, man.
It was just
it was terrible.
Yeah, I'm glad I went to sleep.
It wasn't.
I watched it with the kids, and the funny thing is, people without kids are on Facebook like, oh, this movie wasn't for you, parents. Yes, it is, asshole. Like when you got kids, I have to watch too, dickhead.
Right.
Like my kids even said it at the end. They were like, that was good, but I think the first one was better. I was like,
Mari, will you ever watch it again? Will you ever give it a second watch?
I mean, probably. I watch a lot of things more than once.
No.
Sometimes stuff can grow on me, but I just thought it wasn't that good, man.
Stop lying. No. Stop lying. No.
I'll go back to it. Yeah. I didn't think it was that bad. You people.
I didn't even watch it all the way.
Yeah.
And some of it just didn't make sense, man. Like, like there's a scene where his son is playing for Don Cheadle, and Don Cheadle basically brought like real people from the real world into the server world. And if his team won, all those people were going to be stuck in the server. And he's like, here is Dom James. And they're like, yeah. And it's like, but if he wins, you guys are going to be stuck here. You can't go back to the real world. Why are you cheering for this fucking guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it was different for sure.
I thought it was.
I saw the first 10 minutes and the last 5.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been better. Don't get me wrong, but I thought it was okay. It wasn't horrible. What else you been watching, VP? Just those 3?
Yeah, I mean,
we moved on to EJ. EJ was telling us about his TV show. What else you been watching, EJ? Anything?
No, nothing else that I can think of. All American. I don't know if you guys watch that show.
Oh,
I haven't watched the second season.
I'm not. So the 3rd season hits Netflix August 6th, I think. And I was gonna watch it last week. I was gonna actually pay for it, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna wait for it to hit Netflix. I'm gonna watch it.
I've been keeping up with it. The funniest thing about that show is that kid is really English, and y'all know how I feel about.
Oh,
that.
For real?
Yeah, he's English as fuck. Like he's from London.
English as fuck. Did you hear what he said?
he's English as fuck. It's funny. Like if you watch, I think it's Discovery of Witches. It's another show. I think Discovery of Witches. He's got a part on there, and he's just naturally being himself. It's wild to hear his accent.
Weird, right?
It's just wild, yo. It's crazy.
And the funny thing is, after I heard his accent, now anytime I watch the show, I can hear that that he's not American.
Yep.
But before I heard his accent in an interview, I thought he sounded I thought he was black. I mean, I guess he is black, right? Black people from England ain't black though. They not black. Like,
no, they black.
You can't be black and talk like that.
Nah, they black.
Nah,
they black. They black. They real black out there. Shout out to London, man. It's a wonderful place. Shitty food, wonderful place.
Hey, you know what else?
Chips, man.
What else I got to watch, Steve, or what I learned from my watching was when I was in Indianapolis. From watching TV, I learned that Nancy Pelosi and the radical left Democrats are trying to steal your Second Amendment rights away. And so you should text this number to donate money to this organization that's going to, like, you watch TV, it's so different, yo. I'm seeing commercials of, Dianne Feinstein. I'm like, these people even know who Dianne Feinstein is? They're coming after your Second Amendment. I'm like, yo, that shit is crazy how every billboards, TV, on the radio, you're coming for your guns.
Can
And
we
I'm
talk
like,
about Nancy Pelosi's bosom? No. She has
Oh
a
my
nice bosom. Just saying.
but
Just
yeah,
saying.
man, it's like I was thinking about that, like when we when we would watch TV and shit. I was thinking like this, I could see why people like buy guns so crazy in this country, because the TV and the radio is telling them all day that these people are coming for your guns. You got to get more guns. I'm like, it's crazy, man.
Nancy Pelosi does have great tits. There is no lie in that statement, EJ.
Yo, I'm just saying. Shout out to her.
She deserves it.
Yo,
Well
Tom Brady,
deserved.
man. You
He's
know
a piece
what?
of shit.
As a longtime Jets fan, I love Tom Brady. I've always had love for him. Secretly, obviously. But him being in Tampa,
Goat Grady.
it's refreshing to me, because no matter how much of an ass he's been or whatever he's done, right? It just goes to show you that how fucked up New England is. Like, this guy is having the best time of his life, and he won a championship. And everything you see from him is just like a whole nother person. Like, drunk Tom Brady was lit. You know what I mean? Like, the
So
other day,
you're saying Bill Belichick and New England made Tom Brady a dick when he was in New England.
basically, I mean, this guy didn't do half the stuff he's doing now. He's actually like living now. He's
Yeah.
being a nice guy, lovable guy, having fun, getting drunk. You know what I mean? Just even when they were doing the ring ceremony, he came out to the Rock Boys in the building. He was like, "Yeah, you wasn't alive then." Like, just he's making me like him a little bit. Making me like him a little bit. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
He's taking in his goathood.
Nah, that'll never happen with me. I ensure that I actively hate that dude, so none of that can ever creep in over here.
He was
Tom
like,
Brady's a piece of shit.
Trust me, we know.
Yesterday,
We realize
today, and tomorrow.
He was like, "I'm Sleepy Tom." Even with that, like, it was just, I don't know. With that said, I hope New England goes back to shit the days before Belichick. I hope they go back to shit.
And all these so-called Patriots fans.
Mm-hmm.
For
even Nikki Fried, who's a candidate for governor here in Florida, she's the agricultural commissioner. She's running for Democratic nomination for governor for running 2022, and she actually does. But she's a Dolphins fan, and she was at the White House. Biden invited her up to the White House when he had the Bucks there to celebrate their Super Bowl win. And she took a picture with Brady and put it on her Twitter, and all she put was the goat emoji. And I was like, this chick has lost my vote.
But her rack should get it back though.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
He's a veteran. Once you've seen Iraq, you've seen all the Iraq. Hey, so I finished Mayor of Eastwood, Vari, finally. I did see that.
What you think about that twist?
EJ and I talked about it. Which one? There was about 50 of them.
There's about 60 of them.
The main one. The main one.
There was a lot. There was so many.
The kid was the killer.
I love a twist, but they just twisted and shouted and twisted some more, and it was just. I thought it was good. I told EJ, last time I thought it was good. But they just kept twisting and twisting and twisting.
Yeah.
And twisting.
You Negroes never happy.
But I saw Space Jam. I watched that. I watched Black Widow. I like Black Widow. I started Succession, Vari. So I told you I started that when it first came out. I watched the first episode, and it didn't get me. But I started that again, so I'm on that. I'm gonna probably see that through. And I've also started. There's this other show on HBO that's, I guess it's the new Sunday night show. Did you see it? It's The White Lotus.
I saw something about that.
It has
I saw
Stifler's
the
mom.
preview, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it has Stifler's mom in it. It has the supporting black girl from Blackish, the heavier girl. In it. She's pretty funny. It has the dad from Boy Meets World. He's in it. It's interesting. It's kind of supposed to be like a comedy, a similar. So they're on vacation in Hawaii, and it's just multiple families and a lot going on. But it's only 2 episodes so far, but so far it was pretty good. I won't say it's great yet, but I'll keep watching to see how that goes. And shit, what else did I watch? I started I told EJ last week I started what is that show called on Apple Plus? Or Apple, Apple, whatever the fuck they call it.
Apple TV.
Apple TV, yeah. They have it has Key from Key and Peele in it. It's called,
I remember you talking about that now.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele just dropped a new movie too.
Smegoogles or something like that. It's something like that, but it's all right. It's all right. It's funny. I like Key. Keegan Michael, whatever his last name is. I actually like him more than Jordan Peele from a comedy
perspective.
Acting perspective. I think he's pretty funny. So you guys should definitely check that out. And I think that's all I've been watching. Yeah, that's it. I still haven't gotten to see Fast and Furious. I want to see how unrealistic it is because Vari was clear to let us know that. Absolutely
awful, man. To the TV question, somebody was talking about Breaking Bad the other day and how they had to go back and watch it because they couldn't get through it. So I think I might give it a chance. I don't know. I might
What's
give
her
it a
name?
chance. No, it was a guy on Facebook that I know. Being this on Netflix, I might give it a chance, but I don't know. They said when they said Giancarlo, I think it was his character. I'm not sure, but they said it gets better. I don't know. I don't know.
I looked it up, Steve. That show is called Shimigundan. I don't know how to pronounce that shit.
What?
Shimigundan or something.
What?
I don't fucking
know. Say it again. Say it again.
You see it, EJ?
Schmigadoon.
Oh, Schmigadoon. That's what it is.
There you go.
Schmigadoon. They're stuck in a TV world until they find love. So I watched a couple of those episodes. I got to keep watching that. It's him. It's him and old girl from the one that I always tell you I like from Saturday Night Live, Cecily Strong, the black-haired one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That she's nowhere on the internet ever to be found, and I'm just waiting for some nudes to pop up. Yeah, she's in it.
Raising Power came back with
that's
Kanan.
right.
I didn't get to see it though. My Fire Stick is not working. I haven't gotten to see it. I don't know what my Fire Stick's doing.
We'll save that for next. Yeah, we'll save that for next week.
Nah, I don't give a shit.
The first, I like the first episode. It was pretty good.
Comes on.
It was a little slow going, but it got there. It got where I wanted it to get. So
I might subscribe if I can't get this Fire Stick back where I needed to be. I might subscribe to Stars again.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at 2 hours, so I'm gonna hand the reins over to VP to take control of this horse and carriage. See what I did there, EJ? Forget it. We'll talk about horse next week. Horse and carriage.
You're on mute, guy.
You're on mute, my friend.
Nigga muted himself while talking.
Go ahead and take control of this. and get us started.
Hey everybody, we appreciate you guys joining us and listening to the podcast. For those who joined live, we definitely appreciate your time. Hope that you enjoyed the show this afternoon. For those who will be listening in the next coming days when episode post, we appreciate you taking the time to listen as well. You can find us on all podcasting platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Plus, etc. They got a podcast where they're just search Castworthy. You could also, if you want to watch the show as you listen, you can check out the Castworthy YouTube page. And you can also check us out on any of our social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, etc. All the social media, you can find us at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. You can also check out our website, which is www.castworthy.com. Get the previous episodes there. You can also find those previous episodes on your podcasting platforms. If you decide to check us out on any of our social media, please drop us a like, subscribe, leave a comment, share, tell a friend and tell a friend, help us grow the audience and reach more people. We definitely would appreciate that. Other ways that you can support the podcast until we get merch. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, Steve does have on the hat, so merch soon come. But if you want to find a way to support the podcast before that, you could always subscribe to EJ's OnlyFans. He definitely would appreciate the love and support. Until next time, I'm VP, joined by my man Steve, Last of a Dying Breed on Twitter, and EJ. We will see you on the next one. We love you. Peace.